Hello folks, I'm Егор Moskvin and this is my YouTube channel, and today it is the end of English speaking marathon by Chat. Привет, друзья, я Егор Москвин, и это завершение. Для меня заканчивается английский марафон от моих друзей Chat. Хомячки из Chat засыпали меня заданиями. What? I've had a lot of challenges during the marathon, and of course it was the period of, you just wake up in the morning and you ask, why me? Why again? Because I hear the alarm of the new email with new tasks. And of course I asked myself, why did I do that? Well, but then I fell in love again with English, and now I'm happy to finish my, participation in English Marathon. It was absolutely stunning. 21 days of something new. And of course, it was the period of new events in my life. And recently, I've met absolutely amazing person, Tомас Бэвитт. He is from Scotland. He is musician and interpreter and poet. For example, he translates Vladimir Wysocky's songs into English. He translates Lermontov, etc. And a couple of days ago, we've done the interview with this brilliant person. So fasten your seatbelts and prepare for Saturday afternoon live show. 3, 2, 1, let's go. And do you have the full version of the name? Thomas Alexander Bävittt. Alexander is the father's name.
No, we don't have patronymic, we just have middle name.
Middle, cool, okay. So would it be correct if I represent you as Tомас Бэвитт? Okay. We are ready.
Пускай уходит солнце прочь, и бледная Даяна. Пусть свечи гаснут в эту ночь, ведь я встречала со мной. Я звезд рассыплю серебро по волнам океана. Мне ангел принесет перо, я напишу про Анну. Мне власти церковь скажут: эй, ты что болтаешь, парень? Плевать на церковь, я к своей иду к любимой Анне. Без несчастья не видать, скажу я без обмана. Коль 3 желания загадать, пусть первым будет она.
Wow, great. Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, kids, folks, welcome back to our big show. And it is probably Saturday afternoon live. Yes. I'm not alone again. It's such a privilege for me to be here in the studio with the great musician. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tомас Бэвитт. Yes, this is us. Yeah, of course, we will definitely put the applause into your brain directly after that. After we are here. Yes, and Tомас is from Scotland,
right?
Yes, and now he is in Russia. And Tомас, could you tell us how it can be? What has happened? Tell us the story, please.
Actually, the first time I came to Russia, I was about 1 year old, and then it was, of course, the Soviet Union, and my parents were traveling back from Australia, where I was born. So I wasn't born in Scotland. So we, I say we, I was just a little baby. We travelled through Russia and other places, through the Caucasus, Kafkaz. And maybe I had some idea I was coming back to Russia. I don't know. But I met some Russian guys in a pub in Edinburgh, and that they were very. I got talking to them, and I thought they're so cultured. These guys, they love poetry. They know more about Robert Bёrns than most Scots do, and I was very impressed by this. And I thought, oh, I should definitely go to Russia.
No, cool.
So a few years later, I was lucky to get an invitation to perform at a festival called Uruzhai Festival. It was День города Москвы. So I just came with no expectation and ended up performing at this festival. And of course I met lots of people. They were very excited to meet a foreigner.
Did you perform in Russian that time?
I think perhaps yes. In fact, it was a strange thing because I was already interested in the work of your bard Vysotsky, and I agreed with the promoter that I would do a Vysotsky song, and it was very strange because I sang Kupola России in Russian to the Russian audience. Of course,
Nice.
Of course, then my Russian was worse than it is now, and I'm sorry for the mistakes in my singing.
The Russian is absolutely brilliant.
Well, but it was very interesting because before I sang this song, everyone was just like, very happy and just pleased to see the foreigner and treating it all as very funny. And when I sang this song, suddenly everyone, you could see they were, oh my God, this is serious.
Cool.
So I have always sort of mixed singing in English, singing in Russian. I mean, and for me, it's a big part of what I do. Nearly everything that I perform can be performed in Russian or English. But of course, my singing is better in English, and that's understood. But I like to work with the Russian texts.
Cool.
Anyway, just for my own learning.
And first of all, thank you for the performance in Russian in the beginning. It is what's the song? It is
this is one of the last songs that Bёrns wrote. Robert Bёrns, our national poet in Scotland, and it's a beautiful song, a simple song about one of his last loves, probably his last love. And she was just some girl who worked down at the local pub, and they ended up having an
maybe
affair.
When you say the last love for the poet, it sounds strange how it can be, because he's the poet. What is his last love? Never lost.
Well, for all I know, Robert Bёrns is still loving wherever he is now, but the last love that is known to have happened on Earth, and there was a child that was conceived from this love with Anna. And of course, this lovely translation, which I'm afraid I didn't perform terribly well, but it was done by a guy from Ekaterinburg, Mihhail Fagin.
Mihhail, if you're watching this, so thank you for the interpreting. It's cool. It's great.
Yeah. So Mihhail and I, I'm very pleased to say, worked together on quite a few translations of different lyrics into Russian, including my songs, and so I'm very fortunate to work with him.
Thomas, as I know, you translated the list of Vladimir Wysocki songs, several. How did you touch it, and how did you came to the way of Wysotsky, listening and reading everything?
When I started self-studying Russian, and actually I have had no formal education in Russian, so I had already been studying other languages for a few years, and when I decided to start learning Russian, I had some kind of techniques already to how I would go about it. And so one of the first things that I did was to try to find a kind of contemporary bard. Okay, he was already dead, but but he was still quite modern. And so I was looking for this kind of contemporary form of Russian. Even, I suppose, even Pushkin, although they say he invented more or less modern Russian, but still Pushkin isn't quite exactly contemporary. Modernism hadn't happened, the Soviet Union hadn't happened. So for me, Vysotsky's poetic voice, and especially singing voice, was a way to try to just understand the whole culture, the mentality, as well as learn some words and some phrases. So,
and I'm wondering where and when did you first listen to him, his singing and his performance?
You know, I just was using just the internet, and I was just researching for bards, Russian bards, you know.
Oh, cool.
And so I listened to some different ones, Okuchava and so on. But Vysotsky just jumped out at me. It's so raw and real, and there's so much passion and energy in his work. And I could tell he was also very well educated, and there was a lot of content, very interesting. So I just downloaded it from the internet, as you do, and started studying the texts and starting to make my own translations, mainly for the purposes of learning.
And do you have any musical education? Any experience of notes, scores reading, etc.?
I mean, yes, I can read and write scores. Again, I'm more or less self-taught. I didn't go to any music college, but I've been studying music from an early age. So
okay, great. And speaking about Vysotsky, which song is your favorite from of him?
Well, I would have to say Ochota na Volkov of my translations, because somehow it was just a very interesting translation process to catch the meaning of this song and the passion and the anger in this song. But the other ones I've translated, Лирическая,
Лирическая песня.
Лирическая. Он не вернулся из боя.
Oh, yeah.
Баллада о волнных стрелках. Еще не вечер, which is also a very interesting translation challenge.
Yes. Well, of course, it's we can we can discuss a lot of time. How can we just interpret some phrase or some thinking of Vysotsky? But I think it's better to listen to. So, if you please,
okay,
please, could you share your view?
Okay, so I'll do my translation of Еще не вечер. And maybe I can say a few words about how I came to translate this song. It's Vysotsky uses the pirate ship as a metaphor for actually the Taganke Theater.
Yeah.
And
that's his
the
place.
Pirate captain is your famous Любимов. The legendary director.
Yeah. The leader of the theater.
And, Любимов was taking almost a directly opposite approach to the Moscow Art Theatre, if I say this correctly. And so Любимov, that's correct, isn't it? Любимov is Vysotsky's hero. He's the pirate captain who leads them through these extreme experiences. And when I came to translate it, I had to transpose this idea, because I couldn't try to explain this situation with the theatre in Moscow in the Soviet time. So I had to take the metaphor of the pirate ship and transfer it to a different situation. And at that time we were leading up to the Scottish independence referendum.
That's the long story, yeah.
And I wanted the pirate captain to be something to do with this, so my idea was that the pirate captain was Alex Salmond, who was our the leader of this movement, the political leader. And so the pirate ship then becomes the Scottish state, which unfortunately, it sank. But anyway, it gave me this song. and most of it is in the kind of Scottish Scottish R, you know, which is very also associated with pirates. What does the pirate say? The pirate says R. You see?
Okay.
So. For 7 years we scoured the 7 seas, and at our mast we flew the Jolly Roger. We learned to mend our ship in storm or breeze, and if a plank were sprung, by Christ we'd butcher. The British Navy's firing shots across our bows. The sea's dead calm, the crew is all hungover, but our captain merely smiles at us and vows, it is me over until it's over. The flagship frigate turned herself broadside, and smoke it started pouring frae her scuppers. Audaciously our cannon then replied, destruction, death, they're singing for their suppers. We've been through worse, it looks like our luck's in, but storms are brewing and we're hold moreover. The captain bawls above the hellish din, it is me over till it's over. Through telescopes 100 glaring eyes spy us grey and smoky frae our sallies, but they will never view us in the guise. The slaves chained up to oars and navy galleys, they've been through beyond our ship is gonna sink. We'll never get to see the cliffs of Dover, but our captain does me ever even blink. Just me over till it's over. Who wants to live? Who's merry? Keep your grip. Prepare yourself for vicious cutthroat fighting. We'll let the rats get off the sinking ship. We can be with them at our ankles biting. The rats were thinking that the captain lied. Abandon ship! They all died sober, but we heaved to along the frigate's side. It is me over till it's over. Knife to cutlass, fisty gullet, eye to eye, lest we be food for octopus or conger. Our pistols and our sabres make them cry. Their vessel no be floating for much longer, but it's not meant to be, she'll no gae doon. She'll carry us to port, being clover, for the ocean never lets the sailor drown. What does they say it's over? Till it's over.
Wow. Thank you. You know, it's unbelievable. It sounds so similar to some, you know, Russian way of speaking, of expression. Well, I'll put it on my music player and I'll try to listen it some more times just to understand more, because for me it's not so easy to to catch all the words from one listening. Well, you can say, let me take a deep breath after that. Okay, you told me that you are going to perform the story of Lermont, yeah? And could you tell us a little bit about the new project?
Well, it's not exactly a new project for me. I've been working on it already for around 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been working quite closely with some, for example, she is called Maria Koroleva, and she is a descendant of the poet Lermontov. And actually, she started me on this project, and working with her, we already, for example, worked to bring a bronze of Lermontov to Scotland, to the village of Earlston. So now Lermontov is there in Scotland. He always dreamt that he would go to Scotland, but it took too long.
You mean in the bronze now?
Yes, in the form of the bronze. And the village where this this bronze was installed is called Earlston, and this village was the birthplace, or certainly the place where lived the legendary Scottish bard Thomas the Rhymer. This was about 800 years ago, at the time of William Wallace and this Scottish Wars of Independence. So Thomas the Rhymer, or Thomas Rifmach, is a very important figure in not just Scottish literature, but literature of the English language. And he composed some long texts, including texts that prophesied what would happen in Scottish history. And so these texts were learnt. I mean, it was kind of oral transmission. So it went throughout the culture that people would learn these rhymes of Thomas the Rhymer. And these rhymes would tell what was going to happen, you see. So it acquired this very mystical meaning. Well, around 400 years after actually at around the time of the union of the Scottish and English crowns, when King James VI of Scotland became King James I of England, it looked like there would be an end to all of these incessant wars between Scotland and England, and a lot of Scottish soldiers started looking for prospects elsewhere. Well, at that time was the Smutne Vremie in Russia, when the Polish-Lithuanian Grand Duchy was actually invading Russia.
Intervention. We call it intervention.
Yes, and Dmitry Falshivy, or whatever you say, the false Dmitry.
The false Dmitry,
And so at this time, a man called Lermont, Captain Lermont, George Lermont, went to fight for the Polish side. Well, he was quite quickly captured by the Russians, and being a good Scottish soldier, what did he do? He changed sides. And they liked him very much. I think Russians do like Scots, and Scots like Russians.
You remind me just, there's the story of the Scotch invention as a tape, which
Scotch tape.
The Scotch tape.
Right.
That's the explanation of that Scotch people, feature. Maybe is it correct to say feature about people?
I suppose. And of course, the Scotch tape was used by the Russian scientist Novoselov to invent the graphene. So, this Captain George Lermont comes to Russia, becomes popular with the Russian Tsar, with the Russian ladies, marries, acquires some land, and this starts the dynasty of Lermontov, you see. And so when Mikhail Yurievich Lermontov is born, he learns about his Scottish ancestry. And so it was a big thing for Mikhail Yurievich that he was Scottish, that he had this idea of предсказание, of prediction or prophecy. And so this was a very interesting project for me. So I made a modern English version of this ancient manuscript of Thomas Rifmach, Koroleva Elfov. This is the story that tells of how Thomas the Rhymer acquires the gift of prophecy from the Queen of the Fairies, no less. And then I made a musical. It's a musical story. It's the story of Thomas the Rifmach and Thomas the Rhymer and the Fairy Queen, and it's the story of Lermontov, the poet, and of course he had a very dramatic life and a very early and dramatic death.
Short life, definitely.
Yes, but he was absolutely a great poet and very, very interesting character. So I translated some texts of Lermontov into English, and my colleague Mihai also translated the text of Thomas the Rhymer into Russian. So it's a kind of musical story, and I'm going to Pyatigorsk next month to celebrate Mikhail Lermontov's 204th birthday, and to see the place of his death with my own eyes. So it's a project, as I say, I have been working with for quite some time. I'm still translating texts of Lermontov. Actually, a filmmaker came from Moscow to my home in Scotland this year, and to record me reciting a new translation and so on. So it's very interesting for me to work with this story of Lermontov and to work with these wonderful texts.
Cool. You saw your performance so impressive for me. You know, actually, I've prepared this scenario of our conversation, but now I have to say in Russian "Туда его просто вот." It's enough. No, any scenario, because we're talking about something absolutely bright. Actually, the topic we've discussed the topic of our conversation before we've met with Thomas, and we will discuss how about to speak about nostalgia, nostalgia, and our childhood, and something which brings us warm feelings, and which can give us more energy and inspiration, or persuade us just to go on. So maybe it is nothing to say, it's better to listen to some music.
Okay, so this is my translation of that beautiful Russian song "Темная ночь."
Темная ночь.
And in my translation,
только пули свистят по степи.
So dark is the night. Dark is the night, only bullets that whine o'er the sky. Just the cold wind that hums in the wild, and stars that twinkle so dimly. On this dark night, darling, I know that you cannot sleep. By the cradle a tear glints your cheek, in the lamplight so homely. How I adore the depths of your tender dark eyes, depths I'd explore if I were to be near my Venus. Dark is the night that holds back the golden sunrise, and that gloomy, mysterious step that lies sprawled out between us. I trust in you, in my darling, my sweetheart, my wife, and to know that you're true on this night saves me from deadly weapons. Gladly for me, in this knowledge I don't deadly strive. I know I can rely on your love, no matter what happens. Death, where's thy sting, when I know there's an angel who keeps wearing my ring. Now the chaos is whirling round me, knowing you're there by my sweetheart who weeps, and your tear lets me know that your love will always surround me.
Знаю, со мной ничего не случится. Well, thank you. What to do with this? What to do with the miracle? I don't know. For me, it's just this kind of miracle just came from, I don't know, from somewhere, from the past. Blessed from the past for me, blessed from a mild childhood too, because it's, such many movies. Now, do you know that our movie makers, they take all movies and they colored them.
Okay.
Have you seen a new color version of our Russian movies?
Right.
About Stirlitz. We have the first
That's
version,
right.
black and white, and then they've colored. And the directors say that, thank you so much. I felt like I've came back to the, shot studio, movie studio, because the color was so great. Well, so it means that we love that stories, that movies, and we love to watch them again in color. Maybe you told me that you are the new project of Lermontov. Now it's developing, and you are going to maybe put it on the stage. And how about to put it on the stage? How do you see any way of of the development of the project on the stage?
Well,
Lermontov.
I have some ideas, but I must say I would need to work with like a director who had his or her own ideas about how to do this. I have this idea of the bard. You see, my program is called Global Village Bard.
Global Village Bard.
Yes, and so like I am at the moment the Global Village Bard, but there can be other Global Village Bards, of course. But the idea is to take ideas and feelings and understandings between cultures, especially between Russian and English-speaking worlds.
And Thomas, excuse me, could you explain the meaning a little bit for me? Because when I translate these three words, global, and I know what it is, I know what is village, I know what is bard. How it can be connected, it isn't clear for me.
No, of course, it's a play on words, because we have the idea of the village bard, I think also in Russian culture.
What is it?
So in any village, there are two important people. There is the village chief, you see, and there is the village bard. And the chief and the bard have a special relationship, because the bard should praise the chief when the chief is doing good, but can also criticize the chief, you see. And so the role of the village bard in the village is to kind of be like, well, he's a kind of trick.
Well, is it okay nowadays to call a village bard a village journalist?
Well, if you like, yeah.
Yeah, we have some, I suppose.
And so then there is the idea of the global village, you see, which is the idea we're all connected through the internet, and everything happens instantly, and there is no difference between. But there is, you see, there is a difference between cultures, and and the trouble with the idea of the global village is that there is this loss of enchantment, because everything just happens. It's flat. There's no. And so the idea of my project is to kind of recreate this enchantment, but we cannot do it the old way. We have to find some new way of doing this. And so these beautiful songs, for example, like Темная ночь, there is an enchantment to them. It is something that just, like you say, it sort of sets people on fire. It creates this feeling.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to catch these feelings and send them off into some new direction, you see. So so my idea for this Lermontov thing is that there should be this bard figure, which in this context is me, should be kind of trying to pass on this feeling of Mikhail Yurievich through a different language or through a different, but it should be the same feeling.
Oh yeah.
Or at least it should be a related feeling. And then, apart from that, it's just a very interesting and very human story. We have the story of the encounter of rhyming Thomas and the fairy queen, and we have the story of Mikhail Lermontov's prophecy of his own death and his kind of his claim on immortality. So it's a very interesting story. He's had such a short and such a bright life. And so it's the character of Lermontov is, to me, it's just a very interesting story. And to tell the story through music.
Okay, Thomas, you told me that now you're going to develop the project, and we are online, we are on the web, and of course it's okay to to tell some words to the audience and to maybe invite them to help you make it happen as soon as possible, because
well, I'm looking.
It's on the internet.
Yeah, I've already been working with 3 female singers here in Ekaterinburg. I don't know if they will be available this year. If they are, I will work with them. If not, I will find some new singers to work with. Because I like to have the female element in a show. It's females are more beautiful than we are, and there is just a beautiful energy with working with feminine beauty and musicality. I will certainly be looking for a bass player and maybe 1 or 2 other musicians. But I suppose the main role that I'm looking for, apart from technicians and so on, is somebody who has a very good idea of visual communication, how to get this idea into a film form and possibly a stage form.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, so it can be, we can say that people, if you are watching this and if you think that you can support the project of Lermontov story anyway, please contact us, contact me, or contact Thomas via YouTube, via social media, and it would be any we hope that it will be any synergetic effect of the project developing, because
and of course one other role which I didn't mention is the role of financing this project, because
that's common question. So where's the money and what to do with the money actually? So it is a privilege for me to listen to you live. I mean, right here in live version. Thank you for being here. Let me shake your hand. Yes, dear folks, thank you for watching, and we will see you soon again with our interesting stories, maybe with music, maybe with something else. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. See you.